Today's the day for that afternoon pick-me-up. It is National Coffee Day, and we are celebrating by learning the history of it. My St. Louis Live starts right now. Grab a cup of joe for National Coffee Day. When we return, we are chatting with this guy, our friend and celebrity historian, Raffi Andonian, as he breaks down some of the fun facts about the popular beverage.
Well, why don't we make that the meme of the day then?
Okay.
Coffee. The answer is always coffee. Today, my friends, is a celebration for a drink that helps people like me get through their day. We're talking about coffee. It is National Coffee Day, and joining us in our conversation about the turbulent and social history of coffee is our turbulent and socially awkward historian, Raffi Andonian, who always gives us a morning jolt. We're always glad to have you in the mornings, and now it's great to have you at 3 o'clock.
An afternoon pick-me-up.
Well, yeah, no, this is one of my, I could not be here if it weren't for coffee. And anybody who knows me knows that. So tell us about, why do we meet over coffee? What's up with that?
Yeah, think about how we, come together around coffee all the time, a coffee and a conversation. There's a story and a history behind that.
It's like a portable campfire.
That's right. Yes. And think about, there's across different cultures that has happened. So, for example, the Ottomans were known for doing that, but believe it or not, there was a sultan that at different points was outlawing coffee and coffee houses because it was seen as too egalitarian. You go over to Germany, they had some similar problems too, because it was seen as competing with beer. So in Germany, they would have people register, for making coffee, for example.
Is that right?
Because they would promote beer soup as a healthy alternative to coffee. But England especially is important and certainly influences us, because in England there was a tradition of coming around the common communal table at the coffee house and exchanging news, exchanging stories. Which you think about, we still do that.
Right,
we exchange news and have discussions about business deals and social stuff. And one of the things
you'll say to somebody, yeah, well, I'll call you and we'll grab a cup of coffee.
Exactly, and that tradition there. And you know what's interesting about that, that really cracks me up, is one of the things that you see the King of England say at one point is that he's concerned that at these coffee houses there is, quote, false news that's being spread. So the concept of false news has been around for centuries,
Not new,
believe it or
huh?
not. London, over the course of the 18th century, had 2,000 coffee houses. We can document that. It shows you how popular it is. So I would say gathering around a coffee house has those different traditions in its roots.
How did it get so popular in the U.S.?
The American Revolution. So think about it, in the Revolution, despite all the coffee house boom that's taking place in England, tea is their first drink of choice. And think about the Boston Tea Party during the American Revolution. We say, forget the tea, we're going to go focus on coffee. That is a deliberate political decision that is made by many revolutionaries.
No kidding.
And coffee houses were places for the revolution. Think about it. You think about the Stamp Act crisis, the big Stamp Act protest in 1765. Guess where they read some of the protests off what porch? Off the coffee house porch. The coffee house is where Americans would go when they could not access formal political power, to go and exchange that news that we're talking about and exchange these ideas. So it was seen as revolutionary and a patriotic way to be going in and having this sort of communal grassroots exchange, and that's how it's become so popular in the U.S. Yeah, absolutely.
So where did coffee originate? Because I see some cave guys sitting on a rock and pecking off a coffee bean and chewing it and go, wow! I'm going to make a fortune on this stuff.
The funny thing is you could do that because it actually originates as a fruit. I don't know if you know, but this bean is inside of a red fruit that you could actually try to eat.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
it does. So it originates in that form, believe it or not. But the way we think of, the way we drink coffee originates in Arabia about 800 years ago. Think about Arabic coffee and all that. Now, it comes over to the Western Hemisphere the way we see it, in Colombia and Central America, Brazil, etc., through the colonization of the Western Hemisphere, through the French, of course, French press coffee, which we were talking about earlier. You have the Spanish and the Portuguese who do so. So it originates in that global trade and becomes very important. But Arabia is where we originally kind of have it the way that we do. But of course, in its fruit form, it originates as a fruit. And this is the seed of a fruit, believe it or not. Yeah.
This guy. I thought it was just invented by Hamilton Beach or something. I had no idea.
Or Alexander Hamilton.
Right.
We're talking about patriotism, right? It's a very patriotic thing to grab, an American patriotic thing, to grab a cup of coffee. So,
America.
cheers.
To see more of Raffi, just head to his website, celebrityhistorian.com, and we will post this segment at firstalert4.com/mystl live. That will be following the show. Always a fun segment, isn't it?